frequent floods. In the early days, we averaged 2 floods a year. So when they built the newer post office, it was elevated on top of a big man-made landfill in hopes that the post office would never be underwater. Soon after its completion, the floodwaters did get into the first floor of our newer post office. Now, the oldest post office structure still standing in the Northwest Territory will be the last building coming up on our right. It's now the home of our community foundation, but this little red brick building is the oldest post office still standing in the Northwest Territory. And right across the street, the red brick building is the first federally chartered bank. We're going between the two upright lines, all eagles carved on top. They were given to us by the Congress of the United States to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the signing of the Northwest Territories Ordinance. The tall building on your right is our Masonic Hall, and they hold the oldest Masonic charter in the Northwest Territory. And in their collection, there's a beautiful jeweled encrusted sword given to them by their good friend, George Washington. Washington personally knew those officers that settled here. On your right, the yellow-colored brick church is the site where the first religious service was held in the Northwest Territory. This is not the original building, though. The original building, unfortunately, was wooden and it burned. This was put up to resemble it in 1905. It still has the bell carillons that play the Sunday hymns every Sunday in the left tower. Now, looking down to your left into the East Muskegon Commons is our most important piece of art in town. This beautiful monument was given to us by the Congress of the United States to celebrate that 150th anniversary of the signing of the Northwest Territories Ordinance. It's the Start Westward Monument, carved from local sandstone by Gutzon Borglum, who later went on to great fame when he carved Mount Rushmore. But this is before Mount Rushmore and before Stone Mountain, Georgia. President Roosevelt came here to dedicate this monument, and this temporary modern hoop structure is protecting it from the weather. The soft local sandstone, it was beginning to be badly deteriorated, so they're trying to figure out a permanent solution to protect it from the elements. Behind it, the flags, other than the national flag in the center, represent the states that eventually were carved out of the huge Northwest Territory. Now look the opposite direction to this lovely house up on the terrace, built in 1802. This was built for Return Jonathan Meigs Jr. He was Ohio's first postmaster, fourth governor, U.S. senator, and then postmaster general of the United States. But when he built this house in 1802, it was down at sidewalk level and out here nearly touching the sidewalk, like a true townhouse would have been back in Boston. But when the 1913 flood got over the second floor of this lovely house, after the water receded, the owner said never again. He had the whole house picked up in one piece, shoved back on the lot, and then elevated in hopes that no flood would ever reach it. They built the terraces underneath to keep it up at that elevation. But then the 1937 flood came and got, still at that height, still got onto the first floor, but at least it no longer got to the second floor. It's still a private home and was one of about 11 that were on a tour of homes last spring. We have an annual tour of homes sponsored by the Castle Museum. Except for this year, it got canceled like everything. The East Muskegon Commons is truly used by all citizens in common. This is where our annual Sweet Corn Festival is held. Weekly musical presentations at the gazebo, weddings, Shakespeare in the Park. We have crew races now out today in the Muskegon. You might close the doors. It's a little breezy. So that sesquicentennial celebration was a year-long celebration. They actually reenacted the march from Massachusetts over the mountains. When they reached the headwaters of the Ohio River, they had a flatboat built just like they would have done 150 years earlier. When they got here, after President Roosevelt dedicated the monument. So these two upright monuments with the bald eagles on top, like the ones at the other end of the Commons, was put up for that celebration. Now the Commons originally city of Marietta was short on cash. They unfortunately sold off a few lots. So these lucky owners have river frontage. The Northwest Territories Ordinance is a very significant federal document. Besides being the first federal document to prohibit slavery in the United States, it was the first federal document that mentions anything about women's rights. Before that ordinance, if your husband were to die, the wife wouldn't necessarily